Hello everyone, I'm a couple of minutes late because I turned something off that I was not supposed to turn off, and I had a little panic there. So please, if you can hear me, type yes. Takes a couple little seconds for me to see that, so just bear with me a moment. If you can see and hear me, please type yes. Yes, yes, yes. Fabulous. Thank you all for coming today. I am in Sedona, and Delphi and I have taken a big old long road trip. We drove 7 days and 7 nights together to get here, to get away from the BC rain. That's why I'm here. And it's a very stimulating and beautiful, beautiful place. If you've seen any of the pictures that I've posted on Instagram, you'll understand why we came. So let's see what Jesus has to say, and we'll get to our questions after that. I'll see you in a bit. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one that you know as Jesus, and these are sacred gatherings indeed. We are here with you today because we love you. We are with you every day because we love you. And we say we because on this side of the veil, as you call it, everything is connected and you are all one. We are all one. You are merely mistaken in your belief that you are separate. And this is a fundamental teaching of the Course in Miracles that is so important for us to reiterate here. Because as long as you believe you are separate and act as if you are separate and treat others as if they are separate from you, you will suffer. And it is that simple. And that is the fundamental lesson that we want to remind you of as we go into the teachings today, that this is an illusory separation and it never happened, but because of your belief in it and your constant acting and reinforcing it as if it's true, you feel pain and suffering and sickness because you are powerful creators and you are given free will to choose whatever you want to believe in. That is the experience of this 3D Earth system. So it doesn't matter if you understand it or not. It doesn't matter if you agree with us or not. It does not matter if you believe in it or not. If you act as if you're separate and different, and you treat others as if they're separate and different, if you judge, if you attack them, believing that your mental or emotional or physical attack will not affect you, then you are living an illusory experience. It is not true. Whatever you do unto others, you will do unto yourself. And however you perceive your brothers and sisters is how you will feel yourself, because they are not separate from you. These are fundamental spiritual principles that must be brought to your attention, because that is where the complications and multi-layered ideas and beliefs and manifestations of your world distract you. They are designed to tempt and distract you, not by the devil, as some of you so believe, but by your own consciousness that believes in separation. So your consciousness, which believes in separation, whether it be true or not, whether it be actual or not, because you believe in it, it becomes true for you, and you will create a world where that belief is reflected back to you in evidence. So if you are suffering, if you are in physical pain and your body seems to be betraying you, if you are being attacked mentally, emotionally, verbally by other people, this is the system that your consciousness has set up to prove to you that you're separate, to prove to you that this is not a loving place, to prove to you that you're right in your anger, to prove to you that you are justified in your retaliation or your judgment. And so the illusory system of separation is perpetuated by you, for you, in an attempt to allow you to be that separated egoic self, that identity that you believe so truly is you. These are difficult, non-dualistic principles for those of you who believe in separation to accept, because the evidence that is being created for you and by you proves that you are right and that I am wrong. However, for those of you that practice A Course in Miracles, and for those of you that aren't because you don't like it or you don't believe in it, you are merely extending your suffering. And so we encourage you to do those lessons, and we encourage you to follow along with these teachings, not just superficially, but profoundly and absolutely, because you will reduce your suffering. And eventually you will remove the separation aspect from your experience, and you will become more and more connected, not only with your inner guidance and with your guides and spiritual guides and teachers, but with your fellow brothers and sisters on this planet. And that is what this evolutionary cycle is calling for. So this is why we go back to this fundamental, because you can get caught up in environmentalism, you can get caught up in body issues, you can get caught up in politics, you can get caught up in a multiplicity of subjects in this society. And of course, a separated society is going to manufacture many, many different facets of separation to continue to prove to you that the separation is real and that you're justified in your fear and your retaliation. So those of you that are caught up in a battle right now, whatever your battle is with, whether it's with a government, with a family member, with your body, with yourself, with technology, there are many battles going on. We want you to look at the frequency that you are holding when you are engaged in that fight. You feel threatened. You feel as if you don't fight that thing that you will lose. You feel as if attack is the only recourse you have because nobody's listening to you. And you feel that you are caught in a catch-22 where if you stop fighting, it seems as if you are going to be overcome by that thing that frightens you, that is terrorizing you, that is controlling you. We want you to know that these teachings are not of passivity. They are not of surrender in the sense of allowing that thing to bulldoze you, but you are responding rather than reacting. You are responding with the absolute understanding that you are a powerhouse of creation and that you, if you choose love, will win. You will win not as in overpowering others, but you will win in the sense that the more and more of you who choose love will create a new experience here on this earth. And that is what we are here to encourage you to do. And that's why we go back to that fundamental teaching of non-duality, which is that the separation has never occurred. Now, as your contact with other beings from other dimensional realities increases, which is what is happening now on your planet, you are beginning, and our dear one here is beginning to participate in communications from beings that seem to be different than you, that seem to be removed from you, that seem to be perhaps more powerful or more dangerous, or depending on what frequency you're holding, you're going to tune into different aspects of extraterrestrial communication We want you to know that these rules still apply. These rules of separation still apply, that you are going to attract to you an experience that is in accord with your beliefs, that is a match to your frequency. So thinking about things is really not going to serve you that well as we go into these next phases of your planet's evolutionary cycle. Thinking is looking at the information that's available now or that has been demonstrated in the past and coming up with a scenario of behavior or thought or action that is going to keep you safe. That is the ego at work. It is always trying to keep you safe so that the body may live, so that it may live. Remember, the ego mind is directly associated with the body. It is completely separate in that sense from spiritual guidance. The ego is going to counsel you to sit in a little cardboard box and stay safe. It is going to counsel you to go with the herd. It is going to counsel you to do anything that is not threatening to its immediate life. And it will compromise you on that journey. It will say, we would rather that you sit in your house all day and not get any exercise or sun or communication with people, because it's much safer, even though you might die younger, even though you may become less healthy. We don't care. Right now, we're concerned with your immediate survival. And that is why many of you can, and we say many of you, not necessarily in this group, but many of you on this planet can continue doing the things that seem to be unhealthy. Because 30 years away, the ego is not concerned about that. It is concerned about today. Are you going to survive today? Because that is its job, keeping you alive today. Doesn't care about your growth, doesn't care about your evolution, doesn't care about the consequences down the line of what you do. That's why the ego can direct you to do things that are detrimental to your long-term health, because it has got you through today, and that is its job. So when you approach your decision-making process, we want you to know that the ego's only job is to keep you alive today. It doesn't care about your expansion of consciousness and all of these wonderful things. But spirit does, we do. Our communications with you will in fact counsel you to do things that the ego deems unsafe. And that is a conflict that we want to address today, the conflict between the programming that you have received in your society to conform and not to speak up and to behave yourself and these kinds of things, to obsess about the body, and the spiritual guidance that you are all going to be receiving much more loudly now. Why are you going to be receiving spiritual guidance more loudly now? Because it is time. Many of you have been following us for years. For those of you who have not been following us for years, we want you to know that the information you need is available to you on YouTube. There are many, many videos that this being has produced as part of her spiritual practice, and we suggest you watch them. We also suggest, for those of you that are relatively new to this gathering, that you read the books that this being has produced. There's a lot of information that has gone to in great depth in there, more depth, in fact, than the videos, and it goes into your mind in a different way when you are sitting quietly by yourself reading. It goes into the mind in a different form. It is a much more active process for you. You are choosing to turn everything off. You are choosing to sit quietly. You are choosing to read. You are choosing to focus your mind. You are choosing to prioritize that information, and that dedication, which is a spiritual practice if you want to look at it that way, that dedication to that focus is a more powerful indoctrinating process than sitting back and allowing a video to wash over you. Even though a video is going to give you information, it is going to uplift you, it is going to inform you, it is going to affect you energetically, there is a difference between reading and passively listening, watching a video. So please understand that. Those of you that have chosen only the videos and have said, well, I don't really want to buy the books, $20 is a lot of money. We say you are practicing false economy there. That $20, reading that book several times, is going to save you thousands of dollars over the next years of your life, because you are going to come to understand what drives you. You are going to come to understand what makes you spend your money on frivolous things. You are going to come to understand why you are lonely or why you are afraid. You are going to come to understand some of the fundamental aspects of mind that are leading you astray. And of course, the lessons of A Course in Miracles are that too. And for those of you that continue to prevaricate or postpone or design that program in the way that you see fit, that is the ego interfering with your spiritual evolution. And we say, do the lessons as described, as prescribed, in the manner in which they have been presented to you, because that is the most effective way. Some beings will do one lesson for 2 or 3 weeks thinking that they must master that lesson. No, it is done, it is written and presented to you in that form, because that is the most efficient and efficacious form for you to participate in that learning. So please do the lessons as prescribed. Do not take 4 years to do a year-long program. We understand that there are times when you're busy and you cannot get to the lessons, or you feel that you have completely messed up in a day and you want to do it again. That's fine for a day or two. But do not repeat a lesson over and over and over and over, day after day, until you think you've mastered it. That is your mind, the distorted ego mind, deciding that it knows better than a great spiritual teaching. Your mind does not understand how these lessons work. It does not understand the nature of reality. It does not, in its current form, get why those lessons look the way they do. So please conform to the structure of those lessons if you are not. We are not mad at you. We are not going to punish you. Nobody is. But you will suffer more if you don't do them in the form that they are given to you in. So it seems as if we are telling you stuff you already know, those of you that are experienced, but we really want you to look at your practice. We really want you to look at your practice of the lessons if you've completed those lessons, and the learning of those lessons if you're still involved in that. We want you to know that your suffering, your sadness, your loneliness, your fear, your judgment, is telling you that you have chosen to look at a situation from the ego's point of view in an unloving way. If you are suffering, we want you to know that you must look at this experience that you're having in a different way. If, for example, you are having a physical ailment that has been developing over time, a chronic issue, and you are in physical pain or physical discomfort, we want you to know that your body is giving you a message. It's giving you a message that your emotions, your feelings were trying to give you for many years, and you overrode it and did not listen to it. So it has become manifested in physical form. If you are suffering from a long-term chronic illness, begin to ask your body what it's trying to tell you. Be honest with yourself and ask yourself, what part of my body is affected? Which energy center, chakra, is affected? What is the message of that part of the body? And we refer you to other teachings about the chakra system. There are many, many. We do not need to repeat it here. You can go online and just type in chakra system and what part of the body, what emotion is affected by the heart chakra or the solar plexus, and you will find that information. So we don't need to do that here. There's plenty of that out there for you to research yourself. We are about efficiency here, and we do not need to repeat what has been done before. But we would suggest that if you are suffering from a chronic problem, that you ask yourself what part of the body, what chakra, where am I in utilizing that energy system in a healthy way? For example, if you have some throat issues going on, a tumor in the mouth, teeth infected, ears infected, loss of balance, thyroid issues, this is the throat chakra, and that can be overactive. That means you can be using it too much, talking all the time, gossiping about people, attacking verbally, or it can be underutilized. It can be that you never say what you feel. It can be that you attack yourself internally with your voice all the time. And so one will be an inflammatory response, one will be an underactivated response. You can use your logical intelligence here to go into the part of the body that is causing you trouble and ask yourself, what energy center, which chakra is speaking to me here? Clearly, something's been going on for a long time, because the non-physical has now manifested into something physical in my body, and it's getting louder and I am annoyed at it. That means it's finally got your attention. So do look at these things in this loving, analytical way without viewing the body as your betrayer. It is a messaging system that is used by your creative abilities. Your feedback system, your emotional guidance system will constantly give you information. And if you don't listen, it will give you more tangible information along those lines until you do listen. Because it's a loving system, it wants you to wake up. It wants you to know what it is that you are not particularly good at. And from an incarnational point of view, this is a time when it's really, really important for you to deal with the things that you would not deal with before. Why? Because they're going to continue to get louder. And this is why we are going back to these basics today, these teachings, because your upsets, your resentments, your sicknesses are going to get worse if you have not listened to the message that is being conveyed in them. Remember that all of the people in your life, those problematic people, those exes and those parents and those children that are causing you mischief, are there to get you to see something that you're not good at or that you have not yet dealt with. We want you to begin to look at every situation that your ego deems as a problem as an opportunity, and that requires you to look at it in a different way. What gift is this troublesome thing giving me here? What fear am I going to have to face to solve this problem? What challenge am I being asked to step up into? Remember, as your earth goes through the shifts and changes of this consciousness evolutionary journey, your society is going to shift and change too. And the very thing that you may be resisting may be the very quality that you will need as you go through this evolutionary journey with her. And Spirit is saying, please look at this. You need to learn how to do this. You're going to need it in the future. Now, the ego mind, many of you in us hearing us say that will immediately go into fear, immediately go into, my God, what's going to happen to the world? Well, there are big changes coming, but we say, look at the world that you're living in. Look at the arms race. Look at the wars. Look at the pollution. Look at that. That is not going to be allowed to continue in the higher frequency realms into which your society, your earth is going. So what do you think will have to happen for some of these deeply entrenched, unloving systems to fail? There are going to have to be some big changes that are going to have ripple effects throughout your society. These distorted, unloving systems cannot continue. They are not sustainable. So for you to ask for everything to stay the same is in fact a death sentence for your society. These shifts and changes that we are asking you to prepare for are what is going to keep your planet and your society going, not the opposite. So do not listen to the ego's fear-mongering, but understand that whatever ball has been hit into your court, look at it and ask what that challenge is asking of you. Is it asking you to be more honest? Is it asking you to stand firm in your power and say, no, I don't want to do this anymore? Is it asking you to step away from codependence to independence? Is it asking you to be kinder? Is it asking you to refuse to do certain things? Is it asking you to become more creative? Is it asking you to become braver? Is it asking you to expand yourself? I am that one that you know as Jesus, and I am a hard taskmaster at times, but it is only because it is inevitable that you will be asked to face these shortcomings that you are afraid of. You are powerful creators. You are destined to expand yourselves. That's why you are physically incarnated on this plane at this time, because you wanted to be involved in this expansion. You wanted to be involved in this healing process, and you wanted to see this amazing journey that your society is on. We will return shortly. Woo! That was a good one. Let me just check and make sure everybody can hear me. Hi, Dawn. I'm a little late. Jan, hi. Okay. Let me just have a sip of water, chat amongst yourselves for a moment, and then we'll get to the questions. Okay. Our first question. I am wondering, upgrades, what are they really? Are they done to us without any effort from our side, or are they enabling us to remove our blockages so we more and more become the love that we are? In other words, is an upgrade a stimulus for us to open up so we can contribute in a conscious way while being upgraded? This question came to mind because sometimes when people talk about the upgrades, it sounds as if they are sort of helpless and just have to be patient and wait until the upgrade is finished, as if you yourself would not be able to accomplish this on your own. And somehow I can't believe that. That's actually a very good question. So that was intense, wasn't it, Natalie? Speaking of upgrades, I think we get one each time we do this work. So let's bring Ananda through and we'll ask them about upgrades. We're with you again, dear ones, and we thank all of you for joining us in your physical bodies today. We are Ananda, we are your guides and teachers, and we are here to encourage you to participate fully in your upgrades. Some of the language that is used by individuals that receive information that seems to be coming from outside of them implies that they went to bed one night and suddenly a download of information came, an upgrade came. That's the word, download, upgrade. But what's actually happening for most of you is that you are, through your choice of doing A Course in Miracles, through your forgiveness practice, through your prayers for healing, you are employing your free will to move up the frequency ladder towards love voluntarily. You're doing it voluntarily. And as you go up that frequency ladder, certain things will leave you and certain things will be able to make contact with you that could not before. So if you are, for example, in a conflict with a family member and you choose to step back from attacking, you choose to pray for that being, you choose to look at your side of the street and ask, have I contributed to this problem? Is there something that I have done that is unloving, that is somehow a factor in this deteriorated relationship? If you look at this kind of thing and you bring the principles of A Course in Miracles to play in your behavior, your thoughts, your words, your deeds, and you ask for healing, you are in fact stepping away from separation and moving towards love, which means you are going up in frequency, which means that you have access now to more knowledge and more energy than you did before. If, however, you choose to participate in the ego's attack, fight or flight, freeze behaviors, you will maintain or go down in frequency and you will seem to lose connection. You will increase your suffering and you will feel more isolated and alone, and you will seem to lose. You might get tireder, you might want to eat food that's not so good for you, you might want to hang out with people who aren't as happy, you may find yourself around things that aren't feeling good, and you will not necessarily associate it with your free will choice to attack back, to judge, to perpetuate the separation. So for those beings that are seemingly receiving information or knowledge or contact passively, it is not passive. You have made a choice somewhere in your recent past and continue to do, probably through a spiritual prayer practice, forgiveness practice, to choose love instead of fear, and therefore you actually access a whole new realm. You access a whole new world, and that is really the fundamental act of free will that you are all participating in. But because you still seem to be in a separate body, because you still seem to be a person, because you still seem to be involved in this 3D world, even though you're choosing these more loving practices, those upgrades, that information, those downloads seem to be coming from outside of you. But what will happen as you continue to go up that frequency ladder, that this information will just be, you won't even perceive it as coming from outside of you. You will have innate guidance that is wise. You will have access to more and more information. As you're sitting down talking to someone, you will not need to channel, you will not need to tune into anything. You will have wisdom flowing through your consciousness as you integrate with those higher energies through your spiritual practice. So it's not accidental. It's not that you are a victim of higher forces. However, when certain thresholds are reached, certain things can happen. And we will refer to the Kundalini awakening that this being went through in her decade or so of an intense forgiveness practice and working on her mind and her feelings and her thoughts. She reached a precipice that allowed a certain amount of information to come through in a very, very quick way. And that does not happen to everybody. She was particularly focused, particularly dedicated to that practice and clarified the mind to such a degree that a structure collapsed in a way, a personality structure collapsed that seemed to keep her separate from the information that she has access to through this channeling process. It is not exceptional in that sense that you are not able to do it, but her karmic destiny, if you will, based on a multiplicity of other incarnations, has led her to that place through learning, through experience, through different lifetimes. She has come to a place where this was what was inevitable in this incarnation. Each of you have a different history. Each of you have different lifetimes, different projects that you're working on. And we do refer to them as past lives, but they really aren't. Everything's happening at once. Everything's simultaneous. The past life recollections that you have are multidimensional recollections. They are like leaves in a book. They are very, very close to you, but they are seemingly separate lifetimes. But they can be so adjacent to you, like the pages in a book, that they touch this lifetime and influence this lifetime by giving you feelings, giving you preferences, even at times giving you images and ideas. So we want you to know that these upgrades are not passive at all. You are choosing. Just as when you choose to watch a war movie and drink 12 beer in one night, that's your free will choosing violence and drugs to numb yourself. To your creativity, spend time in nature. You too are using your free will to step up into another level of experience in which you may have access to information that you don't have in the previous level. So we think that that answers your question, and we want you to know that none of these ups and downs that you go through, many of you are struggling right now because of these activations that are bringing up things that you have not yet dealt with in your life. So some of you that have had quite a dedicated practice may be facing some feelings, emotions, negativities that you think you have risen above, but they were merely deeply buried or resisted or repressed or controlled aspects of your personality, your ego self, that are now being brought to the surface by these increasing energies. So do not judge yourselves as failed Course in Miracles students if you're struggling with something, but see this as a natural consequence of these elevating energies, and understand that you are being given an opportunity to readdress something that heretofore has been a bit much for you to deal with. So be kind to yourselves, be gentle with yourselves, and allow some of these negative emotions to express themselves, obviously without hurting anyone else. Don't send off any violent videos or emails to people that you've got a resentment with, but allow those words to come out in the privacy of your own room and listen to what your ego is telling you. It wants to reveal itself to you now, not through any volition of the ego, but these darker energies are asking to be cleared. They are asking to be shown, because you cannot deal with something if you deny it. That which you resist persists. So allow that thing you don't want to say to come up in the privacy of your own room, and say it and say, wow, I really still have some forgiveness work to do with that person. Here is this voice coming out of me that says, I hate you. You've always treated me badly. I feel terrible when I'm around you. And that is what I must look at. That is what I must reveal to myself, so that I can now lay it on the table, ask for it to be healed, and ask to be shown through dream, through downloads, through upgrades. How do I get rid of this unloving thought from my mind because I do not want it anymore? And that is using your free will to see, to reveal, to offer up that which you don't want anymore. And trust us, you don't want it anymore. All of you know that now. You know that your resentments hurt you. They cause you to suffer. They cause your bodies to malfunction. And it is at the frequency of love that you will enjoy your journey here. We will return shortly. Oh. Okay. I'm going to have a sip. Where's my water? Oh, there it is. Just a moment. A question for the love streaming, because we're calling it that now. Is there any difference on the outcome if one uses self-hypnosis to get rid of one's harmful beliefs versus giving them over to Holy Spirit? This is a very good question. I know that forgiveness is the work to be done, but sometimes the beliefs are very stubborn. Okay. Self-hypnosis. I like that. Okay. See what Jesus says about self-hypnosis. You are blessed beings indeed, and everything is mind. Everything is mind. Your behavior, your bodies, your experiences come from what you believe to be true about the world. When you go to a process such as self-hypnosis, what you are saying is tacitly, by your behavior, I cannot do this by myself. I need another process to help me do this. And in that unspoken statement, you really are disempowering yourself. The lessons of A Course in Miracles are about awakening the mind to what it's doing to itself. That is all that is really being revealed to you. Most of you have that face of innocence, the social face that seems to be kind, that seems to be generous, that seems to be somewhat well-behaved. But when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going on inside, behind your social face, as you go through the lessons, you realize that there is a profound desire to hurt people, to take, to attack, and there's a lot of fear and anxiety. And that really is what you are trying to bypass when doing something like hypnosis. Now, we do not condemn any healing modality that you feel drawn to. Your mind, as it is configured now, is multiple layers of many programs, many beliefs that are true and not true, many ideas that are true and not true. Experiences that have distorted you, experiences that have enlivened you, and you are this particularly unique configuration of that experience. And there are going to be healing modalities that appeal to you, that you're drawn to, that do not appeal to other beings. And there are a multiplicity of healing modalities, as you understand it. Hypnosis is only one of them. There is Reiki, there is acupuncture, there is going to the gym, there is fasting, there is yoga, all kinds of different modalities that have been presented to you on this earth plane at this time that say this will help you. And we want you to trust your process. We have given you, through the lessons of A Course in Miracles, the most powerful, transformative process that you can employ. But not everybody is up to the challenge, and that is okay. If you feel that going to a practitioner of hypnotic techniques is going to support you in your healing journey and you feel drawn to that, then you should do that, because you are being guided by your emotional guidance system towards that thing. There are many of you that are guided towards many systems, however, that are not over the long haul beneficial to you. So, for example, some of you will feel extreme loneliness and you will turn to television, let's say, as an example, as a way of medicating, healing that feeling. So you are using a maladaptive practice to temporarily fix something that is a deeper spiritual issue, your feelings of separation. So you can go through your whole life using that particular behavior because it works. When you're watching a TV show and it's got your favorite characters in it and you go back week after week, you become emotionally involved with those characters and you get to feel love, you get to feel excitement, you get to feel fear, you get to feel so many things that perhaps in your own life you are not courageous enough to feel. And you don't know how to get from where you are to where you want to be. In fact, many of you would much prefer to feel your feelings through the characters on your TV shows and your football games and your team sports than you would rather feel them there than feel them yourself, because you are unfamiliar with those emotions in real life. And this is something that is employed against you through the control mechanisms in your society. So there are 1,000 things that you can do in an effort to change your behavior through the manipulation of your mind. We encourage you to do the lessons of the Course in Miracles as the fundamental practice. And if whilst doing the lessons of the Course in Miracles and studying the text and reading the books that this being has penned, if during that process you are drawn to particular modalities, then go to those things and see how they feel, see what they bring up, see if they reveal to you anything that is not being revealed to you through the practice of A Course in Miracles. But we will guarantee you that if you focus on A Course in Miracles, in practicing forgiveness, in revealing to yourself that which you have tried to hide from yourself, you will indeed achieve a healing of mind that is not possible through any other means, because in the end, it is you and your free will. In the end, it is you revealing things to yourself voluntarily that will heal your life, your mind, and return you home whole and enlightened in the end. If I had turned to a hypnotherapist, I would have been handing over my free will to someone else, saying, you have more understanding, you have more power, you have more influence than me. I can't do it myself. And when you think of me doing that, then you understand, this is maybe not the best approach. But not everybody was set up in this incarnation the way I was set up in my final incarnation, not set up by a dispensation from God, but set up by my incarnational journey. You must trust your incarnational journey. You must trust life today to reveal to you that which needs to be looked at. Where are you suffering today? You do not need to go to a hypnotist and ask them to change your mind for you. You are reinforcing powerlessness if you do that. Although if you are guided, again, we are not judging you. We are saying that there is a process here. You can only be where you are. You can only do what you can do today. And some of you do need help because you are not using A Course in Miracles practice as designated in that book through the lessons, teaching you how to respond to the reflection that you are receiving from the world in the appropriate way. You may still be attacking people. You may still be using your free will to choose things that are not healthy for you. When you use your free will to choose things that are not healthy for you, you are saying that your health is not a priority for you. And so you are choosing something that is unhealthy for you. Nobody else can change your mind for you in that moment. You must use your free will to decide, am I going to have that greasy fried thing, or am I going to have that organic fruit over there? In that moment, you will be driven by the programs that are active in your mind. If you have done the Course in Miracles as described and as recommended, you will be able to see where the mind is being controlled by other programs. You will see, I was indoctrinated as a child for many, many years to eat that food. It's unhealthy, but it's the devil, I know. And so it's familiar. It elicits in me feelings that that other food does not elicit. But do I want to turn to a physical, lower frequency thing to comfort me, to make me feel better? Or do I want to turn to the truth to make me feel better? And in that moment, only you can choose. That is what our answer to that question is. We know that you are all drawn to different things. Some of you find solace in things that are not healthy for you. And for now, that is okay. But you will see physical consequences from some of those choices, and you will be given the opportunity to choose again. So trust in today, trust in your ability to discern that which is healthy, that which is not healthy, and ask yourself, can I use my free will differently in this moment? Can I even once say no to that thing that I have always said yes to, that I know is not serving me? And that one that you know is Jesus, and I am here to assist you in using your free will for the benefit of your own healing. And in that healing, you will heal the world. We will return shortly. All right. Nice. Another question for live streaming. A Course in Miracles tells us that we all have a tremendous fear of God. Do we have to face this fear someday in order to remove all the obstacles to peace? Let's see what Ananda says. We're with you again, dear ones. Your entire experience here really is a fearful one. It is indeed fear of God that you are going to have to face. It is a fear of retribution that is not going to come your way. It is a fear of attack that is not going to manifest. It is your own vibration that causes that fearful reflection to be created. And so through this idea of projection, you say, well, God must not love me because I broke my ankle. God must not love me because my husband cheated on me. God must not love me because I'm fat. God must not love me because I am X, Y, or Z. And that is projection. You have been taught through many, many, many layers of misteaching that you are not participating in the creative process that you are experiencing. And so you must blame some force that is greater than you, because surely you cannot be doing this to yourself. And so you have developed this fear of God because your society has told you that God will punish you if you're not good. God will punish you if you break the rules, although the rules keep changing. God will punish you if you do not sacrifice yourself. God will punish you even if you do sacrifice yourself. After all, the story that is told through your church is about the only Son of God, according to that particular testament, is that even though he was very, very good, he was killed and he was sacrificed and he suffered. So no matter how good you are, no matter how loved you are, God will not save you in the end from a horrible death. And that really is the fundamental teaching of your society. And it really is the fundamental problem that you have to deal with, that you are afraid of God because you have been taught to be afraid of God. You are interacting with yourself here. You are interacting with your own fears, your own monsters, your own belief in separation, and it is that that must be addressed. But the fear of God that is indoctrinated into you in your society through this idea of hell, through this idea of fire and brimstone being the eternal punishment for making errors, that psychological structure of your society must be addressed. And yes, it is a big fear for many of you, this idea that if you don't do as you're told, then you will go to hell in some way. But you live in hell here if you're in fear. If you're constantly afraid, if you're constantly judging yourself and others, you are living in a low frequency, which feels like hell anyway. Many beings commit suicide in your society because they cannot tolerate the frequency of mind in which they find themselves, in which they believe they are a victim, but in actual fact, they are judgmental and they don't understand the consequences of judgment are increasing separation, which leads eventually to that which is death. So you must choose love to raise yourself up out of that fear of God, because that is what God is. God is not a being. God is not an individual, but God is a frequency that you will come to understand as you get closer and more in alignment with it. When you are out of alignment with love, choosing fear, choosing judgment, choosing separation, choosing scarcity thinking, God will seem to be something to fear. But as you get closer and closer to the same frequency of that which is the eternal, creative, benevolent force of that which you call God, then you will align with it and know that it is nothing to fear. So it is this process of the relinquishment of the blocks to your awareness of love presence that you must willingly participate in, even though in the beginning you may very well fear God because of the frequency that you are holding. But as you go through the lessons and the training, you will come to see that there is nothing to fear. There is only love. That is what's real. That is what will prevail if you choose to empower it, if you choose it. This does not mean love as defined by your society, remember, however. So you must be willing to redefine love according to these teachings, which are demonstrated in A Course in Miracles, which are demonstrated in the book that this being penned, called Love and a Map to the Unaltered Soul. Goes into great detail over what love really is and how it manifests. It's very different than the indoctrinations that you get through your movies and romantic presentations in your society. So don't start saying I'm choosing love unless you are choosing it based on those definitions. We do recommend that you read those two books as the foundational teaching that you use to define that word love. Love is not what you have been taught in this society. We are Ananda. We are here to assist you in choosing love, in allowing yourself to be who you are today, witnessing where you get sad and asking that question, what did I just do that made me sad? I told the story. I told that story. And that is why I feel bad, not because of the external world, but because of my reaction to the external world, which makes me a victim of that world. I must turn that mirror around and look at myself reflected there and say, why did I do that? Why did I choose to tell an unloving story about God? Where did that come from? Who taught me that? What was the benefit to them of making me afraid of God? But truly, it is choosing separation. You have chosen separation in this world. And that means you have chosen not love. That means that you've chosen to step away from unity consciousness for many a varied reason. And we know that regularly there is that question asked, why would you do this? Well, the separation has not truly happened. It is merely an idea in your mind that you believe so wholeheartedly and continue to reaffirm through your choices, through your actions, through your words, through your beliefs, that you seem to have an experience of separation. It was not done to you. You are choosing it day after day after day. Every time you attack yourself, every time you judge yourself or another, it does not matter. Every time you think an unloving thought, you are choosing separation. And so it was not done to you a long time ago. It is being done to you by you every single day that you choose unloving and unhealthy actions, thoughts, words, and deeds. So do not act the victim here. Ask yourself, where do I act out of fear? Where do I limit myself? Where do I restrict myself? Where do I conform when I don't really want to? Yes, you may be justified given the education that you have in this society, but we challenge you here to question that education. We challenge you here to question the status quo. We challenge you here to question the configuration of your society with its technologies and its current manifestations. We challenge you here to ask, what's the difference between nature and our society? What is nature doing that our society does not allow us to do? What are the wild creatures doing that we do not do? Emulate the wild creatures. What do? They get up at dawn. They don't go onto a computer. They greet the morning sun with joy. Look at a bird, look at a dog. They are up at dawn going, wow, we are alive. Let's rejoice. Let's get going here. They are eating natural foods. Dogs obviously cannot do that, and they are dependent on you, but they are enthusiastic and they are loving. Watch the wild creatures, watch nature, watch the trees. There's an ebb and flow, a seasonality that responds to light. Begin to respond to light, knowing that that natural system is more in tune than the one in which you are indoctrinated. It does not have to happen all at once. What does this have to do with God, loving God, fearing God? What you are seeing is that man-made environments can tend to be less loving than natural environments. Now, natural environments are still part of the separation experience. There's a multiplicity of different birds and species and insects and trees and plants. That's all manifestations of separation. But there is an equanimity to those systems that is lacking in your system. And we want you to align with the natural system more, not as a complete replacement, but as an acknowledgement that you see that the artificially created systems tend to not be functioning and they tend not to be sustainable. What you will see in natural environments is a population, if it gets too big, there will be a natural culling of that population by not enough food to support it, by a loss of reproductive ability, for example, in herds, or an increase in predators. So there are natural systems that will balance themselves. And these are some of the systems that have gone awry in your modern world. More and more people living on less and less in poverty. These are artificial systems. Now, they are benefiting certain beings on your planet. And we want to answer one of those questions that came up. Who are they? Who are they who are benefiting? Well, the reason that we don't go into specifics is because that's not what we want you to focus on. Remember, we tell you, look at what you don't want and immediately turn to that which you do want. Do not focus on what you don't want. So we don't articulate the specifics names. Most of the beings that are in charge of your planet anyway, you would not know who they are because they are not in the public. They are not known to you. They are not famous. They are powerful, but they are not famous. You think that you'll recognize who they are. No, you won't. Some of them are not even of this planet. What we want you to understand is that if we do not give you a piece of information, it is because it will not benefit you. If we tell you that this is the person, these are the people that are ruling these environments, then you will say, they are more powerful than me. They are not going to give me what I want. I am a victim of this world. And we say to you, no, that is why we don't tell you who they are. We want you to say, this is not the system I want. What is the system I want? That is what I'm going to support. So I'm not going to go to a big supermarket chain and buy pesticide-covered foods. I am going to go to a farmer's market and talk to the person who grew the food and give them the money that the big corporation doesn't give them. I'm going to support them in their belief that organic food is good for us. And I'm going to say, wow, I have to pay $5 for a bunch of spinach to this farmer when I can go to the corporation and get it for $2. But where is that other $3 going? It is going to support the farmer and his family or her family. It is going into organic processes that are more labor intensive. It is going into that which you want more of. Do you want the farmers who supply the corporations to get less? Or do you want the organic farmers that live up the road from you to get more? These are the basic aspects of love that we're talking about here. So back to that original subject, do you have to face the fear of God? Yes, but it is not something that will be thrust down your throat one day. It is a choice that you make in every moment by supporting loving systems, by understanding what is good and what is healthy and what is balanced, by choosing those things inside and out. Your actions are determined by your beliefs. Your behaviors are determined by your feelings and your thoughts, which come from what you believe to be true about the world. That is love, aligning with good things that are sustainable, aligning with that which is kind, aligning with that which is gentle, aligning with those principles that are closer to the God of truth, which is a loving, benevolent force that holds things together, that does not destroy. God is not destructive. It is Certain things seem to be destructive. For example, nature may seem to be destructive, but there is an ebb and flow, a natural environment that goes back and forth, that follows cycles, that follows seasons. And those seasons are for a reason. The season of quiet, the season of winter, is a demonstration that rest is required, that replenishment is required, that it cannot always be bursting forth like it is on the first day of spring. It is exhausting for any system to be bursting forth all the time. So use nature as a teacher, use your guidance system as a teacher, as it is meant to be used, and know that the more loving you are to yourself based on the true definition of love, the less frightening God will seem. He will return shortly. All right. I want to wish some of my fellow Sages happy birthday. I know that Carol had a birthday and Fran had a birthday, and I turned 60 years old on December 17th. So I'm not sure, is that a, it's not a Sunday, it's a Monday. So 23rd, we will probably have our next session on the 23rd, but so happy birthday to all those Sagittarius out there. How are we doing for time? 10:07, okay. Another question for Jesus. Many times I feel Jesus has tricked us in A Course in Miracles. It feels as if we are clearing the unconsciousness of the entire collective human consciousness. The more I clear the blocks that arise in me, the more they come up in spades, as if the whole of the collective mind is passing through me. I have sort of got used to clearing this basement all the time. I don't know whether it will ever get cleared fully, or that is my whole life's work now. That is an interesting question. That's from Yogesh, who always has good questions. Hi, Yogesh. Let's see what Ananda has to say about this constant clearing that seems to happen to us. I concur, by the way. I think, honestly, at the beginning of my Course in Miracles, if I had known the amount of forgiveness work that was coming up, I don't know that I would have even started. But to be truthful, I don't think I'd be alive if I hadn't done A Course in Miracles. I don't think I would have made it through the last 17 years. So let's see what Ananda has to say about this constant clearing. We're with you again, dear ones. The constant clearing is going down into the deeper levels of the personality. So it seems when you begin A Course in Miracles that there is this self that you know. There is this self that has these opinions. There's this self that has these beliefs. There is this self that has this body. There is this self that has this family, that has this job, that lives in a certain place. And that is the you that you believe you are. As you clarify your mind, as you go through the lessons of A Course in Miracles, you begin to see that there are some things that you're discovering that aren't what you thought they were. And this continues on and on and on and on. Not because it's being kept secret from you by Jesus and he is tricking you, but because you have been keeping it secret from yourself in the subconscious mind that is driving you, this fearful, judgmental aspect of yourself that seems to be contained out in the world in the form of enemies and bad things and nasty experiences. But really, as you educate yourself and as you clear these surface layers of this multi-layered construction that is your personality, you begin to see that there are deeper and deeper and deeper levels that seem to be something other than what you thought you were. And it is not that they are not yours. It is that the you thought you were was such a superficial concept, like the visible part of an iceberg. That iceberg that is looked at from the surface seems to be small, and that was the way you saw yourself. But as you penetrate through forgiveness work and through self-inquiry and through internal revelation, through these practices, through meditation, through asking different questions, through questioning things, you begin to see that there is a profound and deep structure beneath that which you thought was you. And that is what you are encountering in this continual clarification process, in this rediscovery of old hatreds, old fears. Sometimes a memory will pop up from somewhere and you think, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that I still held a resentment against that girl in my grade 3 class that stole my truck or my doll from me. And yet that memory pops up and you think, goodness me, that's still in there. Wow, well, I wonder what that is creating. I'm going to spend some time revisiting that memory, and I'm going to forgive that person, even though I was not aware that I was holding that old injury close to my heart. So that is what's happening. And as each of you do this process, and this is why, of course, that we encourage you to go through these lessons and through this ongoing forgiveness practice, not just until you've done the 365 lessons, but continuing on using those lessons as the way to deal with the encounters that you have in your world. As you each clear more and more of your own consciousness beneath that seeming separation, which is perpetuated by that distorted view of yourself as the small iceberg above the ocean, the small personality that manifests in physical form, you get to that place of connection with everything. And in the end, what you see is that there weren't individuals. There was, in fact, seeming individuals that deep, deep down beneath those aberrant thoughts and beliefs and ideas, you are all connected and you are all one truthfully. So if you think about that image of the multi-tentacled octopus, and you are that little tip on the end of that long tentacle, and as you practice through time, that which we call forgiveness, you will return back up to the head of that octopus, and you will realize that you are all, in fact, connected to the same consciousness, which is love. That really is the truth of what you are experiencing here. But through your individual manifestations, you have a particular path, and we don't want you to deny that path. We want you to trust in your life today. We want you to trust in your choices. We want you to know that through that process of clarification, you are going to get clearer and clearer guidance as to what your path is, as to what your purpose is here in this particular journey that you call this incarnation. We want you to know that you are loved. We want you to know that the separation, even though it is difficult at times, is not real. It is a distortion of mind, and that distortion of mind can be healed. And it is through this deep diving down into your own internal world, into your own decision-making process, into your own free will, that you come to see the truth. So you have not been deceived by anything but your own ego. It is not Jesus that is deceiving you, but Jesus. And these teachings must meet you where you are, believing in what you believe in. They must allow you to have the personality that you have for now. Otherwise, you would collapse and go into a psychotic state. We cannot remove from you everything in one go. It is impossible. First of all, because you believe in those things that you believe in, and you must relinquish those untrue ideas and beliefs one at a time, gently and slowly, so that you do not revert to a baby sucking his thumb or her thumb in the corner. And that is what would happen if these things happened quickly. Trust in life, trust in this guidance, trust in your process, trust in your emotional guidance system once you have gone through the clarification process. If you are 20 or 30 or 50 lessons into A Course in Miracles, don't make major life decisions based on your erratic emotions at this time. You are heading into a clarification process that is designed to make these decisions easier. And at the end of 365 days, you will know yourself more clearly, and you will be facing some of those aspects of yourself that would lead you astray, in fact, and lead you down the garden path into problems and convolutions that are not going to serve you. So hold your horses, those of you that have not finished A Course in Miracles lessons. And if you have finished A Course in Miracles lessons and find yourself still confused, still feeling separate, then practice them. Practice your forgiveness. Practice being courageous. Practice using your free will to choose that which you want to experience. Practice, practice, practice. It is what will lead you eventually to a mind that is peaceful and a mind that is connected to healthy and accurate guidance. We are Ananda. We are here to assist you in your evolution. We are here to support you. We are here to help guide you. But you are the deciding factor. You have free will, and it is the greatest gift that you have been given. Make sure that you are using your free will to choose to appreciate beauty, to choose to care for yourself with loving and gentle thoughts and actions, and trust in today. Trust that today, when you get off from this broadcast, that you will know what to do. We love you all very much, and we will speak to you again soon. Woo. Okay. That was the end of the broadcast. So for whatever reason, they have chosen to end it here and now. It is a few minutes early, but that's okay. What did I want to say? Oh, we have a few spaces left in our Costa Rica retreat. I think we have 2 or 3 rooms left. We've got a lovely group forming. So if you've been thinking about that, do contact Carol at assistant.channelingjesus.com, assistant.channelingjesus@gmail.com if you would like information on that. We also have our Indio Palm Springs retreat, still has a few spaces. That is a little less expensive on the American continent. For those of you that don't want to go to the tropics, it's at the end of January. And I will be deciding on a European event coming up in the next week. I would say by January 1st, I should have an idea of what that's going to be. But I'm not making any announcements yet because it could change. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for participating in this process. It's always wonderful to have these live streaming events, and talk to you again soon. Bye.